Good morning, students. Now today we will start lesson 8, Biomechanics and Sports. So first we will understand the meaning of biomechanics. The word biomechanics has been derived from a Greek word bio and mechanics. Bio means living things and mechanics means the field of physics, that is the forces related to the body movement. So we will come to definition now. Biomechanics is the study of the action of external and internal forces on the living body. Now we will try to understand what is sports biomechanics. Sports biomechanics is the physics of sports. In sports biomechanics, the laws of mechanics are applied to understand the athlete performance and to reduce the sports injuries. And now we will come to its importance. There are lot of importance of biomechanics. Some are here: helpful in improving performance in sports, improvement in techniques, helpful in prevention of sports injuries, development of better sports equipment. And now we'll come to types of movement. Movement are classified into following categories: flexion and extension, abduction and adduction. So first we will try to understand flexion. In flexion, angle of joint decreases, and now in extension, the angle of joint increases. And now we will try to understand what is adduction and abduction. So first, adduction. The movement in the opposite direction and toward the center of the body is known as adduction. Its example: supine dumbbell flies, hip adduction machine. And now abduction. Abduction is a lateral movement away from the middle of the body. And its example is star jump, hip abduction machine. And now we'll come to Newton's law of motion and its application in sports. Newton has given three laws of motion. That is Newton's first law, that is known as law of inertia; second law, that is known as law of acceleration; and third law, that is known as law of reaction. So first we will come to law of inertia. In the first law of motion, according to this law, a body at rest will remain rest and a body in motion will remain in motion at the same speed and in the same direction unless acted on by an external force. And now we will see one example of this. A thrown ball will not go on forever in a straight line with uniform velocity because of gravity and air resistance. Two external forces that slow the ball and pull it downward. In the same manner, a rolling ball will eventually come to rest because of frictional forces, which always oppose the motion of one body over another. And now we will come to second law of motion, that is law of acceleration. According to this law, a change in acceleration of an object is directly proportional to the force producing it and inversely proportional to its mass. And now we will see one example of this. In cricket, while taking a high catch, the player is required to move hands backward while taking the catch. This increases the time, thus decreasing the force required to stop the ball. This ensures that the player does not get hurt in the process. And now we will come to Newton's third law. This is known as the law of reaction. According to this law, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, or for every action forces there is an equal and opposite reaction forces. So we will see one example of this. In shooting, when a gun or pistol is fired, the bullet moves forward. This is action. The gun or pistol jerks backward. This is reaction. And now we will come to a new topic, that is friction and sports. So first, meaning of friction. Friction is the force resisting the relative motion of solid surface, fluid layers and material element sliding against each other. It creates obstruction to moving objects. So we will see a few definitions of friction. Friction is a rubbing of an object or surface against another. And now we will come to its types. There are main two types of friction: static friction kinetic friction. Static friction. The opposing forces that comes into play when one body tends to move over the surface of another, but the actual motion has not yet started, is called static friction. And now we will come to kinetic friction. Kinetic friction is the friction between object in motion. The surface of the object producing friction should be dry. It is a product of the coefficient of kinetic friction and the normal reaction force. It occurs when two surfaces are in motion relative to each other. And now we will see some advantages of friction. There are a lot of advantages of friction. Helps to move, stop the moving object, produce heat, hold or grip on an object, keeps the object in position. And now some disadvantages of friction are: makes movement difficult, waste of energy, wear and tear of objects, slow down the speed, causes injuries.